Good morning and welcome to the Stahls TV Morning Show. I'm Jenna.
And I'm Josh, and today we have an exciting episode coming your way on this Thanksgiving week. And let's start off with that by wishing you and your families a happy Thanksgiving. And here at Stahls, we are certainly thankful for all of our viewers and all of our customers that really keep us in business doing what we love to do.
Absolutely.
And so in today's live presentation, we're broadcasting live on Facebook. So if you have questions, feel free to type those in. Also, if you want to type in and let us know where in the world you're watching from, that's always fun to see. But we're going to be talking a lot about outerwear, specifically how to decorate outerwear, some decoration trends, outerwear types that are available, and where to source that. And then in our edition of Make It Monday, we're actually going to show you how to print on a jacket. So we'll get into those topics in depth here in a moment, but we always like to start the morning show with our look of the week.
All right, so this one was brought to us from Katie, and I really like this look because it's so unique and different, and I really like how she utilized really her artwork side of things and then incorporated glitter flake in this as well.
Seriously though, this is nice. Isn't that cool that the text is legible, but you have the design element, and you have something that's a trendy finish by combining the glitter flake. It seems like glitter flake will never go out of style. I thought that we'd be seeing it slow down at some point, but all we continue to see with our sales numbers at least is sales growth year after year in this product, which means that it's still in demand from consumers. And this is a nice rendition of a knockout design, the concept of a knockout design with glitter flake that definitely took some design technique, but the weeding of this is easy. There's no inside cavities to pull out, so this actually weeds very easily in two peels based on how the artwork's set up. And so Joe's doing a close inspection. He doesn't believe me that there's no inside cavities, but I really don't think there are. Maybe I missed a little mark there inside of the H on in the purple layer, but very easy to execute, very easy to weed. We thank Katie for submitting the look of the week, and you too can share the looks that you're creating in your shop by emailing them to tv@stahls.com, by sharing them in the Stahls Show and Tell on our Facebook page, or by tagging us on Instagram. We always enjoy seeing what you're creating with the heat transfer material, screen printed transfers. Nothing is off limits for look of the week. It just needs to be heat printed. This week, we have a busy schedule. It's a short week. We have Thanksgiving off. We're here on Black Friday. Over the next couple days, we have some exciting things that we'll be bringing to you live on our Facebook page. So you want to make sure that you look at our upcoming events on our Facebook page and keep an eye out for that. We have some exciting announcements that we're going to share with you, and even a special guest that should be arriving today that will be going live with us on air tomorrow, the next day, announcing some new exciting things coming your way from Stahls. Also, that's one particular product launch we're planning, but there's a lot of product launches planned between now and just after the first of the year. So if you're considering attending a trade show, I want to point out that California is not a bad place to go in January. If you're on the East Coast like me or in the North where it's a heavy winter often, there's a show in Long Beach, and you can sign up for that at issshows.com. Jenna and I will actually be doing a full-day workshop the day before the show opens out there in Long Beach, California in the middle of January, where you can get hands-on with the educators here at Stahls TV, see how these projects come to life, and actually touch and feel the samples that are created.
Yeah, we'll also be demonstrating some of the new launches, so you'll get to see that in person.
A lot of the products, every vendor brings their best to Long Beach. It's the largest show outside of SGIA, I think, but for the apparel side, it's the largest show in the industry. So not a bad place to go for your business. So with that, let's get to our topic at hand. We want to talk about outerwear, and I know in preparation for this show, you shared a great resource with me from Sanmar, where they point out a lot of what we need to know about outerwear from a blank apparel perspective.
Right, and outerwear can be incorporated throughout the entire year, from quarter zips all the way to some things that you would see for fall and winter, and Sanmar does a great job in showing that. So they shared a inside outerwear guide on their website, Sanmar U. And these are just some of the top considerations for fall and winter outerwear. So they give you an idea of fleece, soft shell items, and also 3-in-1s, which are very popular, definitely in the heavy winter season. So some of the popular for fleece, is one of the outerwear considerations. So you can see that we get a good, better, best here. So we go all the way from fleece to soft shells and shells in 3-in-1s.
Yeah, it's interesting here. So they sort of align this graph. If you look at the bottom, you see good, better, best. And it's consistent with how they recommend presenting to your customers. So if you get a customer that's potentially interested in a piece of outerwear, you may want to select an item that they've outlined from the good category on the far left side and position that as an economy option, something in the better category right on their price point, and something in the best category that allows them to upgrade. And you see going from sort of house brands of Sanmar's at the good level all the way up through to brands such as Eddie Bauer and Ogio at the best level. So there is a lot of selection when you take a look at it like this in outerwear to make sure you place the customer with the best potential fit. Now, before we go to the next graphic, let's just talk about outerwear specifically and why the decorators, the viewers watching should even be interested in this category overall.
Well, I believe it's definitely a higher margin. And like you mentioned earlier when we were discussing, a lot of your competitors are kind of afraid of printing these because they are higher end items and they don't want to risk damaging any of that fabric. So if you learn to do it and print them well, you would be above your competition in printing them.
Yeah, it can really be a specialty or a niche for your shop, because when you think about it, a lot of people are okay if they ruin a $2 or $5 t-shirt. When you start talking about a $30 or $40 jacket, there's a lot more risk involved to a decorator. And the interesting thing is when you talk about some decoration techniques, which we're going to go deep on here in a second, it becomes a lot higher risk where you can ruin that outerwear as you're sewing through it on the embroidery machine or as you're perhaps screen printing it. But with heat printing, you don't have to worry about any special additives, any special stabilizers or catalysts or anything that go into the formula. The formula is all in the heat transfer material itself. So it's really almost as easy as just pressing a t-shirt or a performance t-shirt. There's some key couple considerations that we're going to walk you through today just to make sure that the material is compatible with the particular outerwear style that you want to decorate. But once you find some styles that you're comfortable printing that you know will withstand the heat, it's very easy money. Now, when we look at the outerwear category just from the profit potential, because I know you mentioned that, you want to look at, I like to preach profit per piece. So in your t-shirt business, you may be able to get away with doubling your cost or going through a keystoning method to establish your selling price. But when you start to go into more expensive items like outerwear, that's another tip. You want to make sure that instead of just doubling your cost to establish a selling price, that may price you out of the market. For instance, if a jacket like this costs you $40 to make, I don't necessarily want to position this at $80.
Right.
I may be very comfortable selling this at $55 or $60, knowing that I'm going to make $15 or $20 per piece. So just make sure you examine your pricing logic when you start talking about positioning outerwear as the part of the business.
Yeah, and it's important to know that your customers are going to be willing to pay more money for higher end items. So just keep that in mind whenever you consider pricing. They're not going to be afraid to pay that much for a customized piece of apparel that has a higher end finish.
Yeah, and when you think about this, you can have a whole outerwear catalog and make that a specialty of your business. One thing I've seen decorators be successful at is incorporating this as part of the sale. So if you have a business that normally comes to you and they want polo shirts embroidered or decorated for their business, whatever business type that may be, positioning a bag and a jacket or maybe even a hat at this time of year, depending on the business, alongside of that with a whole package price point and packaging things together with that same logo. You've already paid the money to create the artwork for the logo, so why not transition that across multiple pieces and give your customer the opportunity to buy more, increasing the average value of each sale to your customers. It's a great way to grow the business.
Right.
So I could talk about pricing and business logic and margin for days, but we have to get to decoration trends. And Sanmar shares some decoration trends in this particular piece that they've published.
Right, so some of the popular decoration trends that we see a lot in retail are embossing, debossing. We even see some laser etch there. for more of the apparel decoration side of things. If you're kind of a smaller business, you're looking more into heat transfer vinyl effects. So we have reflective there being seen, regular heat transfer vinyl, or even some iridescent special effects that they're sharing there with us. And then, of course, always embroidery.
Yeah, it's interesting here, the decoration methods that they chose to highlight on this piece. Oftentimes, some suppliers, sort of in the promotional products market, where I know a lot of business is done by Sanmar and others, they offer in-house decoration techniques that you see across the top line there. So when you are sourcing a piece, if you don't have this decoration capability in-house, but you'd like to be able to offer embossing, debossing, laser etching, you may want to connect to a promotional products manufacturer that can not only supply you with the jackets, but can supply you with the decoration as part of the offer. And if you're looking for those manufacturers, while we're on the theme of trade shows for this episode, there are the ASI trade shows, or the PPAI, Promotional Products trade shows that you can tap into. ASI is the one I've been to personally, and know there are a lot of sources there, and you can go to asishows.com, and they have a big one coming up in Orlando, I believe, that happens in January as well. So it's always a great place to make those connections if you want to expand your decoration capabilities. But we're here today to talk about heat transfer.
Of course.
Specifically. And really the traditional method to decorate a jacket is embroidery. And we've always positioned heat transfer as an economy option to embroidery, because you can print more jackets per hour. You can do it a lot quicker with a lot less equipment investment. So knowing that embroidery is still probably the premium side of decoration, there's really a whole bunch of different finishes under the umbrella of heat transfer that you can use.
Right, and it kind of, you want to kind of position it based off of the type of material that you're printing on. So if you're printing on polyester, of course you want to go with those low temp materials that apply so low that you're not scorching the garment. And then, of course, one of the biggest questions we get when it comes to printing outerwear is, what do I put on that water resistant or wind resistant coating that's on that jacket? And then, of course, nylon materials also.
Okay, so you're lobbing it up for me and want me to take and run with that particular topic. So I'm going to start with a sample here that I'd like to pull up and show. This particular jacket is a nylon jacket. It's nice because we printed it right and left chest. As you can see there on the left chest with the Coach word mark, this is printed with just a standard heat transfer vinyl material. The design on the right chest is printed with a full color digital logo. And so the finish here on the left chest, this is a product called Gorilla Grip 2. It has a special adhesive technology. There are really three major adhesive categories that are used on heat transfer vinyls. This is one that's particularly good for smoother surface nylon fabrics and does a great job with that. Also, in the digital transfer that you see here, you could easily produce this off a print cut machine onto a compatible heat transfer vinyl, or you can order this pre-cut or pre-printed already in the transfer form. So if you don't have the solvent printer, you can just heat apply that down on the garment. Now, one thing I do want to say is that when you start talking about waterproof coatings, and you start talking about wind repellent coatings and just different coatings on the jacket, it's pretty easy to test if there's a coating on the jacket. Usually it's going to list it in the item description on the website you're buying from, especially if it's Sanmar, or you can just take some water and sprinkle it onto the jacket and see if it beads up and starts to run. That's a quick, easy way to tell if there's a waterproof coating. Now, you're not going to get a company, and I'm not going to do it like Stahls, that's going to say this product works with every waterproof coating, because there are just so many different formulas and variations in jackets and waterproof coatings where you're going to have to do some testing yourself. And so with that, I always recommend, if you want to offer ABC styles of jackets, order in ABC and test the products that you want to incorporate in your business onto those. Gorilla Grip is a great product to start with for a heat transfer vinyl, and so if you want to offer single color finishes, test Gorilla Grip across those finishes and put them through some wash cycles. And jackets, we're really not expecting 50 wash durability on.
Right.
So you have a little bit of a tolerance there to where you can wash it 20 times or whatever the expected life cycle is of your jacket to complete that look. So Rule number 1 is always make sure you test. Pick a material with an aggressive adhesive like Gorilla Grip or like something that's recommended for nylon, and then do some pre-flight testing to make sure you're going to get durability. Once you have that, a lot of people aren't willing to take those steps. So once you have that, you have a whole market space to go after that's going to produce quality results. So that's our nylon jacket example.
Right, and I'm not sure, correct me if I'm wrong, did you point out the Super Tech Opaque product that we put onto nylon?
I don't remember if I said the name, but Super Tech Opaque is the name of the CAD prints transfer that was created there that's good with nylon as well.
Yeah, so all of our tech materials for print cut systems, or if you're ordering them as CAD prints, can be applied onto nylon.
Okay. Next is we have the other challenge once you get through coatings with jackets, and coatings happen on polyester too. There's a lot more materials that are compatible with polyester, but I've even had some polyesters that I've had to use Gorilla Grip on because of the coating specifically. So anytime you have that sort of surface where you think there may be a coating, you may want to look at that. Then we have the sort of performance category of outerwear. On this particular example, for those that are subscribed to the Project Press It box, it might look familiar because that's where it came from.
Right.
You have this performance zip-up jacket from Port Authority. Once again, this is customized with a digital heat transfer with a business name. As you can see with digital transfers like CAD prints, you can get full color graphics, and so the point here is there's not a company logo that you shouldn't be able to accommodate with the standard heat transfer vinyl or with a digital transfer to go on the jackets, even in small quantities as little as 5-6 pieces for small businesses where it stands out. So when we start looking at performance-based jackets, what sort of considerations do we need to look for in a material?
Well, we definitely need to pay attention to its application temperature also and pressure. So we want to avoid any possibility of leaving a scorch box on that garment. So obviously our tech line, it applies as low as 275, so that's a good option. And then also for a single color, Premium Plus is a great option as well because it has that low temp application.
Yeah, and so there's a lot of sort of trade names here that if you're new to this, you may be having a hard time understanding. I'm seeing some questions coming in. But when you go on Stahls.com and look up the different transfer types, or you go to Transfer Express, because they do digital transfers as well, you'll clearly see the material formulas in their textile compatibility. You'll see this is recommended for cotton, poly, nylon, etc. And usually on Stahls.com, there's a filtering system where when you're uploading your digital logo and you're getting to the point of checkout, it's going to walk you through those questions. What are you applying it to? And you know what? If you're not comfortable with that, dial 1-800, the number 4, Stahls, and a customer service rep will be able to walk you through based on what you want to accomplish. We have a lot of them there on the phone that are positioned just to helping you. I don't say how many because it's always growing. I never know the exact number.
And I'm glad you brought up Transfer Express because they also offer a screen print transfer that is low temp. So if you're doing a lot of these where it would be more cost effective for you to do a screen print transfer, they do have a low temp screen print that may be more effective.
Okay, good. So when we start to go through, there's digital transfers, there's single color transfers, and there's screen printed transfers. We start to go through sort of the finishes that are available even in single color transfers. Let's pull that Sanmar graphic back up for a second. They point out 2 particular finishes. See if Joe guessed the right one. He got it. All right. 2 particular finishes that they're calling out with heat transfer that they see as a trend. You see in the very bottom left on the Pine Peaks, Washington design, that is an iridescent, so like a tonal effect. I believe that product's actually our CAD-CUT glaze product that gives you that tonal effect. That would be one option for something trendy that's still low temp. And you can see the Pine Peaks EMS design that's in a high visibility material, specifically reflective heat transfer material. If it's for a municipality where it needs to be ANSI certified for high visibility, the 3M reflective is a great choice for that. But if you just want the look, then the new product Reflective 2 that we launched is a great economy choice. And so if you look at the shirt I'm wearing, this is a product that I printed, the Stahls corporate logo in Reflective 2 in one of our live classes. And then I also did, wrong sleeve, I also did a tonal effect. It's tough to read on screen, but there's the Stahls word mark coming through in the CAD-CUT gloss product for that tonal effect that makes it look wet. There's also a matte product in this that would make it look laser etched on dark colored fabrics. So those are great material selections that you can use. And the shirt that I'm wearing, to answer your question, Mike, is from a company called Storm Creek that really does a nice line of outerwear. And I met them at one of the ASI trade shows that I was mentioning earlier. The other jacket you see behind me, it's tough to even read the logo because it's in the high visibility 3M reflective. And so you get that, it returns light back to the source. And we have a lot of light sort of shining here on us as we're doing the presentation, but you can see the look there. It complements the stripes and the piping on that high visibility outerwear. There we go.
Right, so that product I see being very great for road crews or any type of municipalities, but I also see it trending a lot in retail. And of course, they wouldn't be using the certified 3M reflective. They would look more towards one of our new products like Reflective 2. But they're putting it on retail so that whether they're going to the gym or they're just putting it on that athleisure wear to give it a unique effect, it's something we're definitely seeing more and more in the industry.
Yeah, a lot of opportunity. So just to make sure we're all on the same page with how you even create one of these single color heat transfers, we did pre-cut a particular design here. I want to show you how this process works. Heat transfer material comes in a roll, and then you basically select the formula that you want. You load that roll into a vinyl cutter and cut out your design in a mirror image. All the adhesive technology is already on here on the side you're looking at that's going to make it stick to the particular fabric it's compatible with. Now, this particular material has already been cut and cut down to a small piece so I can demonstrate it for you. And then I'm going to complete the process of weeding away the excess. Now, weeding is the process by which you take the excess material that you don't want and remove it, just leaving your intended design behind on the carrier. Now, a lot of people are afraid of this weeding process, but as you can see here, you're just going to remove that excess. It only takes about, I don't know, depends on the complexity of the design, but somewhere around 30 seconds to 2 minutes per design, depending on size and complexity. So it's really, depending on what you pay labor for weeding or pay yourself to complete the weeding task, you're talking about maybe a quarter in expense max to be able to prepare this design for application. And considering I can do as little as just one, that's a pretty good rate when you consider hooping it up and time on the embroidery machine that would take the other way. Now, this design, weeded, ready to apply. We wanted to show you another finish of product. So this particular product is a silicone-based heat transfer. And so just another material formula that follows through that same process. And the reason we chose silicone in this case is because it's kind of unique in its texture. It does have a little dimension. This is 200 microns thick, which basically means it's going to stand off the garment a little bit for us. But it really has that rubbery texture that a lot of times you see from major brands such as Under Armour or Nike in the treatment of their logos, where it has that rubbery, athletic-inspired feel to it. And so let's head over to the heat press, and I'm going to show you how to apply this and some other tips specifically for decorating jackets. I have a particular jacket I'm going to print this on, but I'm going to grab another one to show you a concept here. If we can zoom in. We have the press itself loaded with our 4x4 attachment. Something that's very important to heat printing jackets would be having either attachments to isolate the print area, like you see here, to raise up the print area so the seams and buttons and zippers, you get a lot of that on jackets so that they fall off the edge. Or you can have just this loose pad, which is called a Print Perfect pad, that you can insert inside of the jacket. Now, once you have that, it's very important to be able to isolate the print area of the jacket. Typically, jackets are going to have different seam structure on the inside and liners. And what happens is if you just buy any jacket off the shelf, throw it on here, and try to complete an application, it's often the seams from the underside of the jacket that are going to sort of gloss up the surface of the jacket by printing through. And so by sourcing from an industry supplier such as Sanmar, often their jackets that need it come with something called a port pocket. Makes it easy to hoop for embroidery, also makes it easy to split for heat printing. So actually we've unzipped this here, The liner unzips from the outside of the jacket, allowing you to split the liner open if you're seeing that, and then isolate this print area and load it on. That way I'm dealing with a single layer and I don't have that liner that's going to print through. So that would give you a good example of how to hit this left chest placement on a jacket. A lot of times they either have a port pocket for a left chest placement. On some items, this not being one of them, they have a zip out across the bottom of the jacket so you can get a full back print surface. So you want to make sure you consult with your blank apparel customer service team, or that you order in some of those items to try it out so you're marketing and advertising the print locations that you can actually do with a quality result. For this particular application, we're going to do something that's a little bit more performance driven, like the quarter zip that I'm wearing. This is an item from Sanmar in their Sport Tech line, and it's a ladies zip up with this nice heathered look that's also trending right now. So this one does not have a liner because I'm basically dealing with one layer. I'm going to load it onto the press, just unzip it. I'm trying to get to the isolated pocket area onto the press. That's the reason I've chosen that 4x4 platen. Get to that print zone and then preheat and get ready to print. Now, something that I'm even questioning myself on right now is that logo going to be straight by the time I load it on there? Did I get that jacket straight? As you go to smaller platens, it's tough to get a jacket straight. Do we happen to have thermal tape in here? Do you know? No. We don't? We'll see if we can track some down. I don't know if you can run out and see. Because what I'd like to do on a jacket like this, I'd like to lay the whole jacket out on a flat table. I'd like to position my logo into the proper placement on the jacket. In the case of silicone, where it doesn't have a sticky backing, I take thermal tape and I tape it into place so it's not going to move. What that allows me to do then, I'll try to do my best job so you don't have to wait. I'm just going to hold this into place, pivot it around, and try to maintain my press location. It allows you to get a better, more accurate placement. And so Jenna's back with the tape. We worked our way through, but just thermal tape, you can buy it on a dispenser, just peels off, take a piece, tape the transfer into place, and basically the tape won't impact the transfer at all. So just a nice little accessory to have on hand. With the material in the proper place, I want to make sure it fits onto my print location. I'm feeling to make sure it has pressure on those edges. And then I complete the application. In this case, we're applying CAD-CUT Silicone 200. It's also a dye blocking product. We're doing black on this because I wanted to do a tonal effect. We're going to press that down for the recommended application. And then it's a cold peel, so I'm going to let it cool completely before I remove it. And so we pressed one earlier just because I wanted to have one done as we wait for that to cool down. And we pressed white so you could see the effect on a back shoulder, another nice placement zone for printing onto jackets, and it has a very rubbery texture on it. And you don't see any strike through from the colors because silicone is a material that's very resistant to migration. And so while we're waiting on that to cool down, let's head back over to the table. And Jenna, do you mind walking through this particular effect? Because this workwear is another major category for jackets.
Yeah, sure thing. So this is a full color digital transfer that we're seeing here. This can easily be printed on an eco-solvent printer, or you can order this in CAD prints as well if you don't have that decoration technique in-house. So this is actually a mixed media effect. So you're seeing our full color digital transfer up here, and then we also have our reflective to kind of really make that logo pop off the garment and stand out, also increasing value in the finished garment also. All right, so this is a regular outer shell or a hard shell outerwear jacket. So we're able to print this easily with that tech material we were telling you about earlier that is very low temp, and also use that reflective in there to take advantage of that extra profit opportunity.
Okay, I know that there are some questions coming in, so I want to make sure we have some time to get to those because we're running a little bit over here. Cher asked, you don't need to preheat, so great question. I mean, at Stahls, we still always recommend preheating your garment to remove the moisture and wrinkles. And so in an ideal world, you would preheat those and then tape them into place and then move them back into position. We do find that on a lot of synthetic fabrics, where it's not going to be a highly laundered item, that a lot of shops just practically are skipping the preheating stage. And so that will happen in your testing. When you order one of the jackets, you press one and you run it through the wash cycle, you can sort of get that testing done based on the particular item. But it seems more and more with the way adhesives are changing, that preheat step is becoming optional for a lot of places. Do you sell this retail is another question from Pat. You could effectively sell any of these looks retail. Most of the decorators we're talking to are selling business to business for small businesses, but retail shops are certainly an option.
Right, and just to answer Ruben's question, are we getting a material that is thicker than silicone? So as of right now, we don't offer one that is thicker than silicone, but I do know that there is one in the industry. I'm not sure who sells it, but I think it's called Brick, and it's kind of a thicker material. So if you're looking for a material that's good, that is thicker than silicone, I've heard Brick, it does wonders for that.
And then the other thing I want to mention is we are, wasn't planning to say this, but since Ruben brought it up, working on a thicker silicone. So we are very close to a 500 micron thick, which would be 2.5 times as thick as the 200 that's currently for sale. And so we know that's something that's in demand, and that should be a product that's coming your way, hopefully in the first quarter of next year. So there you go. That's your sneak peek for watching the Stahls TV Morning Show. Okay. Good. So lots of good questions. So really, one of the things that I want to sort of put as an ending point on our outerwear segment here is that you have to test. Okay. If you just start trying to heat print outerwear out of the gate and start offering that and printing it, you're probably going to back yourself into the corner and run into challenges. While they're typically easy products to print, there are a wide variety of item constructions, there are a wide variety of different fabrics and water repellents and things that you're going to run into. But once the testing is worth it, because once you do this, you're going to have uncontested market space, because there's not a lot of other shops that are willing to go to these steps, and really that puts you in an area where you can make good profit, where you can price things and not have the competitive threats that you have on printing a basic t-shirt, because everybody's doing that. Okay, if you have questions, continue to type those in. We plan to take some photos of different outerwear garments that are around the office and share them in this particular feed. We also have some videos that we've done with complete tutorials on how to print outerwear more in depth that last more than the 20 minutes we've had here today for this particular segment. So make sure you visit stahlstv.com, and we'll look forward to talking to you later this week.